don't know about you, but I've definitely spent more time this summer swimming in hype-filled chatter about AI agents than actual water. And in all the noise, it's easy to miss a fundamental change that's taking place. For these agents to be effective, people have to feel safe delegating things to them. And when we do, how we use this tech starts to feel less like a tool and more like collaboration. Picking apart what it means for humans and machines to collaborate has been central to my reporting on AI since I started doing it. It's worth taking a moment to appreciate just how far we've come. And perhaps nowhere is that made more plain than in high-trust areas like medicine and law. I'm Jennifer Strong, and this is Shift.
Now here on the steering column is a device called Auto Cruise. You simply set the speed you want.
Self-driving robo-taxis are already on the road in US cities.
As the disc rotates, a mirror reflects the light in the way that depends on how the signal was recorded.
This is the 100 terabyte I present to you Electro, the Moto Man.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I would say that one of my greatest skills is my ability to interact with humans.
This episode, we explore Agentic-powered legal work in the latest installment of our oral history project. Harness the power of AI agents at scale, without vendor limitations. The agency, spelled AGNTCY, is the open-source collective building the Internet of Agents to enable seamless agent-to-agent collaboration. Explore use cases on agency.org now. That's agntcy.org. Running a business in this time of constant change and unpredictability is beyond challenging. But Constant Contact's award-winning marketing platform is here to make marketing easier and more effective for small businesses like ours. The best part? You don't need to know anything about marketing. With their all-in-one platform, you can make and manage attention-grabbing campaigns in just a few clicks. Email, text, social media, events, landing pages, you name it, it's all in one place. So no more juggling dozens of different tools. You'll also get automated sending, real-time reporting, and tools that actually help drive sales, so you're not just marketing your business, you're growing it. Pricing is transparent and based on the size of your list, so you're only paying for what you need. That's why over 500,000 small businesses trust Constant Contact to stay connected, top of mind, and ahead of the competition. Get a free 30-day trial when you go to ConstantContact.com. Try Constant Contact free for 30 days at ConstantContact.com. ConstantContact.com.
Hi there, my name's David Wong, and I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Thomson Reuters. And so that means that I lead the teams that set our product strategy, define our products, our designers, as well as our teams of experts who know all the depth of legal, tax, accounting, and audit to help to create the products that Thomson Reuters sells. And it's fair, not a lot of people know who Thomson Reuters is. We're most famous for our Reuters news agency, which provides news across the world to other news stations, but the bulk of our business is actually software and data that we sell to professionals. And those professionals are typically either lawyers, accountants, auditors, and some risk professionals. If I go back as far as the 1800s or the early 1900s, the previous version of this software was books. If you think about lawyers and all those books that sit behind them when you see them on an interview or something, like a judge sitting in their chambers, you've got those rows and rows and rows of books. And to do research and to do legal work required finding the right index and finding the right document and finding the right case and the right law, searching through all those books. And naturally, that was very time-consuming. It was very slow and very inefficient. And over the course of the past century, innovation has been all about trying to make that process faster, easier. How do you find the right case, the right law, to make sure that law is active and not been overridden by some case that's been decided in the courts? And that's incredibly hard. And so it started first with indexes, and then it evolved into mainframes, and then it evolved into CD-ROMs and desktop software, and then to web search, And we're at the precipice of a brand new era, which is generative AI, systems that are intelligent that answer questions based off of knowledge. What we've created is a generative AI research system for legal professionals. And so it in many ways extends what ChatGPT does, but built for legal research, legal question answering, and anchored and grounded in actual legal fact that we have curated and we have created. And what's really special is that we've created our next generation version of it. We absolutely understand that large language models, especially if you use them just as is, hallucinate. And we see it as well, right? When we've built and designed the systems, we've made the system check its work. And so that generation and verification kind of cycle basically goes through a research process. And then you have a first pass where you have all the citations. Then we ask the system then check its citations. We say, go back to the database, go back to the library essentially, and see, does this case exist? Which is a mechanical thing, which, frankly, if you think about like how any system operates, if you've got that database, it would be sort of irresponsible not to do it. And so that's the first thing, which is to say, hey, does this exist? And so through this process, we believe that we can dramatically reduce the probability, the possibility of hallucination. We've been very clear, though, that we don't guarantee that it's going to be free of hallucination. We ask our customers actually to design their workflow to make sure they check the work, but we have been able to measure a dramatic reduction in the amount of citations, which could be problematic, or to have situations where the LLMs are hallucinating. The legal research space has been dominated by a pretty small number of competitors. You've got conventional competitors like LexisNexis. There's also Bloomberg. Bloomberg Law is also a competitor in the United States. And there's also a number of free solutions which are offered by court systems and by judicial systems around the world. So, for example, in Canada, there's a product called Canly, which is pretty popular. And now there's a number of startups that are trying to enter into the space. So not unexpected that given the Gen AI boom, that there's a lot of other companies that are looking to try to enter into the space. So I think that legal research is a very interesting problem because it is different than just research in general. When I was in, high school or college, we were all taught about how to do research, and we think of it as like a fact-finding exercise. Like, say, research about a topic, or research about a person, or research about an issue. And it usually means going to the library or going to some reference and finding information about them and then summarizing it. Yes, there's an aspect of that to legal research, but what we often are looking at is legal research for litigation and for making an argument. And this is taught in law school. And what is different than just general research where you're researching about, the tallest, buildings in North America or what have you, is you're often presented with a question or an argument that you're thinking, can I make this argument in front of a judge? And how strong would this argument be based off of the law and cases that exist? So you need to go and you need to find relevant law, relevant cases. On top of it, most of the litigation and legal work which is done in the biggest firms are not straightforward. They're novel. They're dealing with issues that have never been recorded in the law before. So you need to also find cases and law that might not exactly apply, that might have to be argued via metaphor or through some type of comparison that doesn't exist. So you have to create a research plan that way. And on top of it, the law is inconsistent, where one jurisdiction or one area of the law may say X and another might say not X. And so you have to reconcile this. So all of this together means that a research plan is a complex and frankly a nuanced set of activities that, again, that's why you hire some of the best lawyers, some of the best minds in the world to go do this work. That's what we're trying to assist in. That's what we're trying to build a system to do, which has been taught like a law student, like a lawyer that's been called to the bar, and eventually like a partner at a law firm that can navigate all of this complexity.
Harness the power of AI agents at scale, without vendor limitations. As an open-source collective, the agency, spelled AGNTCY, is building the Internet of Agents to enable seamless agent-to-agent collaboration. For business leaders, this means faster innovation and scalable solutions tailored to the multi-agent software your enterprise is creating. Visit agency.org to explore use cases now. That's agnTCY.org. Need a new website? Make your design smooth and convert with Framer. Framer is a design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It brings your site to life with powerful animations, dynamic content handling, and a design-first approach that helps your site stand out. And it's free to get started. You can browse more than 700 templates, or you can design from a totally blank canvas. Plus, real-time collaboration means your writer, designer, and marketer can all tweak the same page at the same time. And built-in AI handles the heavy lifting so you can generate starter layouts, automatically translate your entire site to any language, even suggest on-brand color palettes. What surprised me most about trying Framer is it puts the fun and creativity back into this process. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Start free today at Framer.com. Go to Framer.com to start building a site for free. Framer.com.
What does it look like? What does it look like to use this product, this innovation? Because most people haven't used Westlaw. Westlaw is mostly used by lawyers. And the generative AI version of Westlaw with deep research actually looks a whole lot like ChatGPT or Google Gemini. If you used it and opened it up, you would see a chat prompt box with some buttons below, just like, deep research. But instead of asking a question of what's the best recipe for what's in my fridge or what have you, you'll ask a nuanced legal question like, under New York law, can there be a failure to hire discrimination claim when the company hires someone of the same race or gender as the applicant claiming discrimination? That would be the way you'd describe the issue at hand in a litigation. It's how you'd probably write it into a brief. It's probably how you'd talk about it with your colleagues if you were in a law firm speaking between different lawyers who work on employment law. And when you enter that question and hit send, it'll respond in a way that actually kind of feels and looks like ChatGPT. But instead, because we're using an agentic deep research technique, what you'll start to see is this chain of thought where it'll develop a plan. It'll say, okay, how am I going to crack this problem? What do I need to do? I will have to research New York law. What are the discrimination laws that exist in New York? What are the cases that may be applicable in this particular situation, in this fact pattern? What are relevant administrative decisions which may apply to it? And what will first happen is discovery. So imagine this agent going and searching through all the databases that Thomson Reuters has, and it's finding the relevant law. What's different than a web search is that we're setting the agent loose on law and on cases which we know are valid and up to date, because our databases are valid and up to date. We're never going to find a law that doesn't exist. We're never going to find a case that's been overruled because we already have that all classified. And then the LLMs read all those cases. They read all of the cases and all the laws, try to answer that question. But on top of it, because the system is agentic, it also adapts. So if it finds something, let's say maybe it finds related law, or maybe it finds another issue might be at play, or maybe it finds questions, then it will adapt the plan and it will do more research. And then after it does that work, summarizes it, presents it as a report to the user. You can read this report. It's footnoted. It's got all of its sources. Again, it looks just like a report that you would get written by a legal researcher, but again, done by an LLM in about 5 minutes. And that's research that would normally take hours to be able to do. The other thing which is really cool is that so many legal questions are answered by it depends. It depends on this issue or this question. Not all the information that may be pertinent to the case is captured in that question, which we started with. Again, it might not just be about the employer having hired someone of the same race and gender. And what the system is able to do is put those questions back to the user to say, hey, it depends, but not only it depends on these questions. So here are 5 questions. If you answer them, I'll be able to give you an even better response to it, because it'll depend on whether, let's say, maybe the industry changes because there's specific laws depending on the industry, or maybe it depends on the nature of the hiring process, whether the discrimination is on a protected class. Who knows, right? But those are the things that if you talk to a partner at a law firm and you ask for advice on this thing, they would come back and say, hey, I know this law. I'm an expert. It depends, but it depends on these 5 things. If you answer those questions, I'll be able to give you the answer. And this is the advance that we're creating with the system as well. Where do we go from this? So let's suppose that we create this amazing research system that you can then answer these tough questions. Where do you go from that? And again, most legal work, research is the start. It is not the end. You don't just get a research question and you're done. You're trying to actually defend your client in court, or you're trying to make a claim against somebody. And so that's where we're trying to go, which is create systems, AI systems, that can take the next step in legal work and to help lawyers to be able to do that next step. And that usually involves drafting documents and motions. And so the most natural next step is to build off of what that research is used for. So most of the time when you do legal research, you're doing it so that you can then make an argument in court in front of a judge or in front of an arbitrator. And that is then captured in written documents. So what you do is you take that research and then you craft your argument and you create a motion, you create a brief. That's the next step that we want to take, which is to create agentic systems that can not just reason the first part of the research step, but then keep going and to start drafting the eventual brief or the eventual motion that you would put in front of a judge and the other side of the case. That, we think, is almost like an encapsulation of legal work. When you hire a lawyer, in many ways what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a document, something that's going to be the work product of lawyering. And that's where we're trying to go with this agentic system. And then from there, the future goes in a lot of different directions that are hard to predict, but you can see many others that are trying to create systems that can do the work of lawyers. I don't think we're there yet. I think most people want to have lawyers that are trusted and that can validate and that can have responsibility and have professional obligation. We see, at least in the next 5 years, that it's mostly about assisting and augmenting lawyers. So from Thomson Reuters' perspective, we think we're creating maybe cybernetic lawyers that are humans that have incredible new capabilities and powers thanks to technology, and that in many ways, just like how you wouldn't hire a finance professional that couldn't use Excel, I think in the future you wouldn't hire a lawyer that doesn't use Gen AI. It would be akin to malpractice, because you wouldn't be using the best available tech to defend and to represent your clients.
This episode was produced by me and Emma Cillekens and mixed by Garret Lang, with original music from him and Jacob Gorski. Thanks for listening. I'm Jennifer Strong. AI agent collaboration isn't all that easy for enterprises. As an open source collective, the agency, spelled AGNTCY, is building the Internet of Agents, a shared collaboration layer where AI agents can discover, communicate, and collaborate. To learn from AI innovators such as Cisco, Crew AI, LangChain, and MongoDB, visit agency.org and explore use cases now. That's agnTCY.org.
From PRX.